Ladies and gentlemen, and the Art Students Association. I am sorry myself that mistake was made, and I do not know how it was made. I was promising myself a long sojourn here with you, and through that misfortune I am to lose that. I am to go straightway to some other place and do some other thing. I don't know what it is, something for the furthering of the public good or the advancement of civilization. But if I could only stay here a little longer, I should like to go into a disquisition of some sort concerning art. Now that I feel reinforced for work like that by this degree which has just been conferred upon me. I have always had the impression that I was intended for an instructor in art, but I never have felt full confidence, because that sort of recognition, which is the sort of thing that gives confidence, had not arrived. Just as soon as you became a master doctor of arts, you know all about it, for you have a better opportunity to know, and from that moment you are competent to teach in these high matters of art. I feel now entirely competent to teach. Before, I should have considered that what I might offer in the matter of instruction would properly be considered a matter of opinion. But now I consider it is a matter of law. I consider that now I know how to talk to you on art. A long time ago, when I used to examine the old masters on the other side of the water, I did not consider myself competent to teach other people, but I did consider myself competent to teach myself. But I found as I went along that I had overestimated my ability in that line, too, for I was not able to appreciate. I was not able to find in the old masters the joys which other people found there. I could not find beauty or anything to enthuse me in a St. Sebastian stuck full of arrows. Moreover, I objected to every St. Sebastian that I ever saw, because they all seemed to be enjoying it. And I said, that old master that considers that saint or sinner can be a pincushion of arrows and smile does not know human nature, and his art is all wrong. Many things in art I was not able to see. I did not know what I wanted to see. I went into the Pitti Palace, where they have those treasures of art, as they call them, and there was a Titian Venus, 5 or 6 feet long, on a bed 16 or 17 foot long, with a dog close by that you could put in a snuff box. The drawing and perspective were all wrong. The drawing was atrocious to me, and I finally said to a man who was away up in art, "What do you find in that picture?" He said, "It is not worthwhile for me to tell you, because certain qualities are required in order that you shall see the marvel in that picture, and you are not qualified to see them. You are born with a lack that cannot be supplied by education. You cannot learn it, and you may as well give it up." And he told me about a lady who said to Turner once, "Why, Mr. Turner, I have spent many years in Venice at one time and another, but I have never seen the colors in the Grand Canal that are in this picture of yours." And he said, "Don't you wish you could?" Meaning that she had not an educated eye. There are two things concerned there. In the first place, natural ability that can be educated, a vision that can be educated, so that by and by you can see everything that is in a great picture. But without that original equipment reinforced by education, you cannot expect to see those things in the great masters. That thought struck me, and I began to see that there was a reason why so many went as I did through the galleries of Europe and came away disappointed at finding there nothing that was entitled to the vast encomiums that they had heard pronounced. And I saw that there must be something I could not understand. Finally, someone taught me what I have been intimating, that if you have so natural gift for art, then it is not worthwhile to meddle with art. If you have a natural gift, it is not going to be valuable until you have the right teaching. A man in Hartford came of a race of painters. They were good painters in the view of all New England. One of them was this young man who had been painting pictures quite satisfactorily for several years and was making a handsome reputation. One day, that greatest clergyman that the last century produced, Reverend Dr. Bushnell, a man regarded as authority in every possible way in that region, came into Mr. Flagg's studio, and Flagg recognized that it was a great honor indeed, and he welcomed him with deference and enthusiasm. He was proud to know that Dr. Bushnell would now see what sort of an artist he was. Dr. Bushnell went to the easel and looked at a picture, evidently with an absorbed interest, and the pride and satisfaction was growing in Flagg's soul. He probably intended to tell his parents about it when he got home. Finally, Dr. Bushnell said, "You must learn to draw." That was a thunderbolt out of the blue. Flagg thought he knew how to draw, but Bushnell said, No, you must learn to draw." Then he said, "Where's your library?" Flagg said, "There it is." It was a shelf full of French novels. Bushnell shook his head and said, "Do you know mathematics?" And Flagg said, "No." "Then you must learn mathematics." This struck Flagg as odd. Mathematics was a thing he did not know he must know. But Bushnell said, "You must learn." And then he said, "Have you ever dissected a human body?" Flagg said, "No." "You must learn to dissect a human body." Then he looked the picture over again and said, "All these things are necessary in order to educate your eye. You must learn to see." Flagg said he thought he knew how to see. "No," Bushnell said, "I mean, no offense when I say it, but really, in this picture I see that you have only the vision of a cow. By that I mean that you see only the outside of things. In your daisies, your trees, your weeds, you see only the outside. Your spiritual vision has not been educated. You have the vision of a cow. A cow admires and knows a daisy as much as you do. And if she could paint, that is the kind of daisy she would put on canvas. You must not remain with the vision of a cow. You must get the finer and higher vision that comes through teaching under competent masters." Flagg said, "What shall I do?" Dr. Bushnell said, "Go to Paris. Go to the Beaux Arts. Don't waste your young manhood here in this uneducated work. Go to headquarters. Learn to do it right. Goodbye." He went away, and Flagg sailed for France. The next day, he was convinced. He sailed with his brother, and he convinced him without trouble. His brother was an artist of repute and had a fine opinion of his abilities. When they arrived, they found they had an afternoon to spare, and they went straight to the Louvre and wandered along through, looking at this old master and that old master, until they had examined an acre or two of old masters. And yet they expressed no opinion in words, and finally they came to the Mona Lisa. "You say it." And the other said, "No, you say it." And so it was my flag who said, "Well, this is the Mona Lisa. This is the picture that we have heard so much about and have worshipped from a distance because other people did in books. It is just an old smoked herring." Then, when they came before the teachers in the Beaux Arts, one of the teachers said, "What is your grade? How far have you reached?" They said, "We paint in oils." And the teacher said, "From what?" And they said, "From nature." And he said, "Let me see you draw something." So they drew something, and he said, "Well, it is not time yet for you to begin colors, not time for you to begin to paint from nature. First, let us learn to draw." He put those boys at plaster busts and taught them how to draw dry goods box and kept them at it 3 months. He made them buy a corpse and dissect it. He taught them mathematics. He gave them the whole course, just as Bushnell had advised. In 6 months, they had not had a holiday and were worked nearly to death. One day, they looked into the Louvre galleries again and looked at those same masters all along those acres of old masters, and finally arrived again in front of the Mona Lisa. They looked at it a long time in silence, and one said, "You say it." And the other said, "You say it." "Well," he said, "I will. It is true. We had the vision of a cow. It was the very verdict that Bushnell had rendered so long before. Now," they said, "we recognize that we did not know how to draw or paint in colors. We did not know how to paint nature, and we might have learned it earlier if we had had somebody to advise us. That is my lesson for you to convey to the incoming class. You do not need it yourselves, and as I have not time to wait for the incoming class, you will have to teach it secondhand, from one whom you know to be a master doctor of arts, and competent."